Hello and welcome back to the On The Ball podcast. This is episode 134 will be my guest today. And we are back. The full trio is back. First time in a month, I would guess. Rowey's back as always. How are you, mate?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty well. Highlight of my lockdown week this. Pilch, more importantly, no offense, Rowey, but you and me are here every week. So Pilch, I guess, can be the special guest for today. Interested to hear your thoughts and opinions today, Pilch, but how are you first and foremost?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Good to make my monthly appearance. But yeah, I'm good. Good week of footy this past week, so...
Yeah, I swear every time you're on, Port and Saints win the week before. Like, could be
might be something in that.
I think your decision is made after the win, though. To be honest, not sure. Not sure what comes first, chicken or the egg. But pretty similar structure this week. Looking forward to the redrafting of the 2012 draft. Further down the line, we have all basically agreed that it was a shocking draft, but still, nonetheless, interested to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions, and keen to have a chat about SuperCoach because I'm a little bit worried about my SuperCoach side. But before we get into that, we've got to have a little bit of a chat about round 11 of the AFL. I believe it was round 11. So we'll let Pilch, special guest to the potty, we'll let him start with his winners for the week. So if you want to let us know who you thought had a really good week.
Sure can, Hamish. I'll kick it off with Brisbane Lions, who obviously were expected to win against GWS at home, but they absolutely played them off the park. And GWS were in pretty good form, and in my opinion, and in quite a few people's opinions now, Brisbane are probably the number one seed. I think they're the best team in the comp at the moment. And this is all without Lockie Neal as well, which we'll see what happens when he comes back, but I'm sure he'll make them even better.
Is that a commonly held opinion? I don't know, Rowey. What do you think about that?
I don't mind that. I think there were a lot of sort of slight doubters of Brisbane early on in the year. I think Hammer, you and I sort of spoke about how we don't know if they're really that good. But I think, the last few weeks in particular have really shown how strong they really are and all the talent that they've got flowing through there. Even their players that come in and play the roles, like James Madden has got electrifying speed, and those type of players all just fit in seamlessly and really shows that they are very close to that number one seed. I don't know. I've got them in the top four, definitely. That has changed over at least the last week or so, but I'm not going to say top seed at the moment, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Because they are a really exciting side to watch. And yeah, exactly. When Lockie Neal comes back, it's going to be awesome for him.
Yeah, huge W for them. Smacked GWS by 64. I don't know if it's more than 5 on the trot, but I was looking at the AFL ladder and they showed the last 5 results and they were the only team with 5 Ws, so that's well done.
I'm pretty sure they were 1 and 3.
Yeah, I think...
I'm not 100% sure, but...
Well, there was
Geelong... 7 on the trot.
Yeah, Geelong, Sydney and Dogs, I think they lost to all in the first month. And then they obviously beat Collingwood just with the Zach Bailey kick. So I think I'm not missing a game there. It could be, but that's pretty outrageous how far they've come in the space of about 2 months. The other team I'll get around up the top of the table. There's another team worth mentioning down the mid-table, but the other team at the top that I'll be getting around today will be the Demons. Huge clash at the top of the table against the Dogs, and scoreboard showed that it was a fairly good win, but I think if you watch the game, it was even more comfortable than the scoreboard suggested. Dogs kicked a few late goals, which kind of brought it back. But yeah, huge bounce back after a disappointing loss in Adelaide, and I guess it shows that every now and then you've got to lose a game to keep the fire in the belly going, and they beat a pretty formidable opponent in the Dogs, and they now go clear top of the table, a win ahead of everyone. At least they've obviously more than a win ahead of most, and yeah, killed it on the weekend. And yeah, do you think Melbourne are a serious premiership contender now, Robbie?
Oh, I do, yeah. I have obviously been thinking that for a few weeks now since they've really sort of proven that they are this good. I think it took us all maybe a month or maybe 5 or 6 weeks to get them to really show that they are who they are, just given Melbourne's history in the last sort of few years. But I think they are genuinely the real deal now. Obviously, they play the G well because it's their home ground. So there's no grand final disadvantage there. So they are genuinely the real deal, and they are going to be one of the, if not the favourites for the flag. I'm still standing by my call the other week against Tom Morris, who gave me an absolute earful about how they lost to the Crows. So I'm still standing by that. They're obviously not invincible, as we all know. I definitely think they are the real deal. And it's going to be a very interesting finals match, especially if we see the Dogs and the Ds play against each other, especially if it's at the G. That'd be one of the best matches in, I reckon, the last few years of football. That'd be incredible. But yeah, I definitely think they're the real deal now. Obviously took a bit of time, a bit more than it should, just given they are Melbourne, but fully convinced now, yeah.
Yeah, and then the third winner I'd like to touch on, I don't know if you boys want to touch on any others, but the Bombers, they probably haven't given them enough love on this podcast, to be honest, considering that how poorly they were predicted to go this season and how well they actually are going. They now look like they're a bit of a smoky for that 8th spot that we've been talking about for weeks, Rowey, but they now go level on points with Fremantle and GWS. They are a little bit behind Sydney, as are all those teams in that race. But to beat West Coast in Perth, we've always talked about West Coast trouble on the road, but we've never questioned their home form. So for Essendon to go over there and get that win, pretty incredible. Pilch, do you think they're a genuine chance for the top 8, or do you think they've just hit a bit of a rich vein of form?
I think they're definitely a chance, but more a smoky, so still unlikely.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the common belief. I don't think many people would put their house on them over a team like Sydney or even GWS, but there's a bit of hope now in the Essendon faithful, which is always a bit concerning because we've seen them get hopeful in the past and be pretty disappointed, but yeah, they're killing it right now, and with the young guns they've got, why not get excited, Bombers fans? But that was a huge win. Rowey, do you want to touch on your losers for the week?
We'll go the polar opposite there. The Eagles, it's obviously pretty disappointing for them. They had a few of the best players on the ground. They had Nat Nui just do his usual thing, 40 hit-outs, 20 touches. Dom Sheed had 43 as well, but still couldn't get over the line in this match that was obviously played on their home turf, which they're nearly invincible at. I think they were beaten by a lineup in the Bombers who feel a bit rejuvenated this year. I think there's a lot of role changes in that team, and it's really helped them. You know, they've got Parrish in the midfield now. They've got Heppel down back, sort of managing and navigating everything, and obviously Merritt's got it on a string, and players like Nick Hind coming off halfback. They just look a lot more structured, and it just looks like they're in the positions that suit them. So, yeah, the Eagles, they were beaten clearly by the better team, I think, because in front of that crowd is obviously always the talk of the home ground bias, which often happens. But I think Essendon are the real deal. If I want to touch on them very quickly, I reckon they are a smoky, but as we've seen in the past, they've got a big game atmosphere to them and can really get up and about in these games. So, yeah, it was a worrying sign for the Eagles, and now they've obviously lost Tim Kelly for a few weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how they go over the next few weeks and whether it's just one match that they've dropped. But, they're certainly a lose for the week, given it wasn't just away from home. Now they might have troubles at home. And if they've got troubles they've obviously clearly got serious troubles away from home. If that starts to leak into their game at Optus, then, yeah, there are a few worrying signs for the Eagles. I predicted their downfall at the start of the year and then got a reality check at the start of the season. But now maybe my words pre-season weren't too outrageous, given, they're not looking as good as they were at the start of the year. But they're definitely the main loser for me.
Yeah, they're like, there's a lot of teams tied outside the top 8, but technically they're only 4 points ahead of 12th, which I think you predicted them to come around 12th, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I did, yeah. It was about 12 or 13, yeah.
Could be a bit of
an outrageous call, but yeah.
Certainly was outrageous. The other loser I want to touch on, for me, there wasn't too many losers this week, to be honest. I thought most the teams that lost either put up a solid fight or we were expecting to lose, but Probably just got to mention it, given the fact if Jack Broadbent is a representation of the Carlton faithful, how disappointed he was. That was our upset of the week. I didn't believe in it. I tipped Sydney, but I thought it was a solid chance of happening. Don't know what you ended up doing, Rowey, but
I switched it to Sydney. I couldn't back Carlton, unfortunately.
yeah. So, but I do think a lot of
happy.
Carlton fans thought they were a really good chance there. Unfortunately, didn't get over the line. And now, given the form of teams like Essendon, obviously, except for this huge loss to Brisbane, but GWS in the past few weeks, and also Sydney playing really well, Carlton's finals hopes, if they didn't already, I think that might have been the final nail in the coffin. And I know their fans are pretty hopeful, so they were probably thinking they were still an outside chance, and they've got West Coast and GWS in the next 2 weeks, which were probably games 2 or 3 weeks ago that you would have looked at and gone, they'll be really tough. You wouldn't expect a win, but now they're almost must wins if they want to stay in the hunt for the finals. So yeah, if they don't win either of them, they're probably going to be 4 wins out of the 8 with less than 10 rounds to go. So you can basically put the bookend on that one. But yeah, big loss for Carlton, and makes their finals hopes very, very minimal, really, if they weren't already. But yeah, I didn't really want to put Carlton in there. I just thought, yeah, their finals chances took a blow, but I didn't think it was the worst loss. I think Sydney are a better team than them. So yeah, I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how poor it was. But looking at your predicted top 8s, boys, moving on from the winners and losers, we'll start with Rowey. We'll get your top 8, mate. What are the changes this week? Who you got 1 to 8?
I've got a couple of little tweaks, but overall, it's not really changing a whole heap now as we get into the nitty gritty of the season. I've now got the D's on top. I think that was a vital win, but I think it just goes to show that they really are going to beat anyone. I thought the Dogs were the one team that we're going to teach them a lesson, but I was proven wrong. I'm very happy to be as well because they're playing some awesome footy. So I've actually got them finishing on top now. The Dogs in at second. I think you can almost lock away that top 2. The Cats in at 3, and then Lions at 4th. So they've got them jumping into the 4, which is good. Obviously, Pilch. I've got Port slipping down to 5th. I think their form against the top 8 teams isn't quite there yet, as we've seen this year. I got the Tigers in at 6th. Yeah, I think we touched on a few episodes. However, their percentage against top 8 teams, is like 70%, which obviously isn't ideal. So the Tigers in at 6th, and it's a bit of a toss of the coin between 7th and 8th. I've got Eagles at 7th and Swans at 8th, but I think that finals spot, there might even be a second one opening up here with the Eagles. It's obviously going to depend heavily on the next couple of weeks, but say they get upset by Carlton this week coming up, I reckon that opens up another spot in the 8 for grabs. So I reckon those first 6 teams are locked in to play finals, not in that order, but they're going to be locked into play. But yeah, if the Eagles, I don't think they're locked in yet. So it's going to be a very interesting few weeks. But yeah, Swans rounding that one off, and then obviously the teams of the Bombers and the Giants are hunting them down. So it'll be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, that Carlton Eagles game's huge, and there's a couple other big ones this week, which we'll touch on at the end of the episode when we make our predictions. Pilch, have you done your top 8, mate?
Yeah, mate. Slightly different from Rowey's, actually. Starting from the top, I've got Port Adelaide at number 1.
Surely not, Pilch.
After the bye this week, Geelong at the Adelaide Oval, we win that, and we've got the easiest remaining fixture out of all the big teams. And all the top 4 teams we play, all at Adelaide Oval. So big chance that we go undefeated till the end of
the year. You couldn't keep a straight face, mate.
That is going on the Instagram preview, that one.
Yeah, that's the second.
In at second, another change. I've actually got Brisbane. I'm really high on them, and I think it starts this week. I think they beat Melbourne, and by the end of the year, they just pipped them. D's 3, Doggies 4. I think the top 4 plus Geelong are pretty set, as Rowey said. Geelong 5th, Richmond 6th, and then I've got Sydney above West Coast. Sydney 7, West Coast 8.
Well, I like that. Sydney is starting to move up there. Yeah, definitely think that West Coast position in the top 8 is starting to look a lot less secure than it was about a month ago. Yeah. So that's an interesting take. That Port one, definitely a I can't tell if you're taking the piss or not, but
Nah, mate, dead serious.
I haven't looked at the fixture, to be fair, so you could be right, but you did also say
minor
you did say
premiers and then
laughing.
straight sets.
Oh,
Lock it
okay.
in.
All right, so
There it is.
Lock it
There's
in.
the condition.
he's not delusional. But yeah, are you taking that, by the way? If they win the minor premiership and lose straight sets, are you happy with that season?
No.
No.
Well, no, you can't be happy with straight sets. Like, at least make a prelim.
I think the Demons fans will be happy with straight sets. But yeah, all right, time to redraft. We're going back now. 2012 draft. I don't think we've hit the stage yet where the guns have retired yet. They're still well and truly in their prime. We were discussing off air what age we'll get to. I think 2007, 2006 might be the cutoff point where we, especially myself, is a bit out of my depth. But I'll go first, and once again, you boys can correct my mistakes. Hopefully, I haven't missed any Caleb Daniels of the world this time round, and hopefully, I haven't picked any mature ages at this stage. Couldn't tell you who's the mature ages, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, just in general, this draft, a lot less depth. I know now the players who maybe played 70, 80 games, they might have been delisted by now. So, like, if they're not currently playing, I wouldn't have even considered them. So, I only really considered 12 players for my top 10 here. So, it was a pretty easy selection process, but that made the positioning tough. So, my honorable mentions are Jack Viney. Just think he's a really good player, and when he's fit and firing, he's good. But I just think the amount of injuries he's had over his time in the AFL, for me, make him an honourable mention. He's probably better than some of the players in my top 10, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Tommy Clery, although he's a pretty good player at the moment, and he came. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think you have him that high, but yeah, what I was looking at, which probably made me leave him out, is he's only played just over 100 games. So, and he's been a regular for the last couple of years. So, like, compared to some of the others who've basically played from the get-go of being drafted, he took a lot longer to get into the side. And now he's a very reliable player. But yeah, that came into my thinking. Putting him there, which it was harsh. I feel bad for him, but I know Pilch will have him in there, so he can chat about him there. But yeah, all right, number 10. I know Rhett doesn't like this bloke, and Rhett always listens to the redraft, so shout out to Rhett. But Tim Membry, he has been the Saints' leading goal kicker 3 years. I think it was like 2017, 18, 19, maybe, something like that. But I've got him in at pick 10. Don't think he's an incredible player or anything, but very serviceable, tall forward. Hopefully Max King sprouts, and then he can be a very good like number 2. Some of his highlights: he came 5th in the BNF in 2019. Yeah, not really much else to mention. I've just got him there because of the honourable mentions.
Might move him down after hearing that.
What? That's not even disgraceful.
No, my one, mate. I've got him high as, but
okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, you can half him off if you want. Number 9, I've got Camden Mcintosh. Look, if you take away the flags, I don't know if he'd make my 10. Probably not. But purely because he has been a pretty solid cog in a very good team. 1-2 flags. He mustn't have played 2019 or, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was 2019 he missed, or, yeah, I'm getting confused now. But he did only have 2 flags when I checked. He came 5th in their BNF last year, coming in top 5 in a premiership winning side. That's pretty impressive. So, yeah, here's my number 9. Very good role player for the Tigers, as a lot of them are. Number 8, I've got Ollie Wines. In terms of career achievements, there's not too many of note.
Ooh.
And I don't think he's actually that good of a player till about 2019. And then I think he became a lot more impactful on games. I think up to that point, he didn't amass enough of the footy to allow for his average disposal, where now he absolutely racks up and is a contested beast. So, yes, right now, if we're looking at 2021, who out of this draft class do you want in a team, he'd be right up there. But in terms of his career to date, for me, he's not that high. But yeah, good player. Number 7, I've got Lockheed Hunter. Won the BNF at the Dogs in 2018. Obviously won the flag in 2016. Probably past it now, you would have to say. kind of playing as like a pressure forward now, where at his prime he was a bit of a winger, a bit of a halfback flanker. Very good user of the footy, silky player, and he's just a typical Dogs player, isn't he? Just classy individual, loves it at Marvel / Etihad. So he's my number 7. Number 6, I've got Joe Danaher. I found him really hard to position, but when he's up and firing, one of the best tall forwards in the game, but his injury issues can't really be ignored. Has hardly got on the park consistently. Made the All-Australian squad in 2017, Essendon best and fairest in 2017. 4 times in his career, he's been his club's top goal kicker, which is pretty impressive. So he's my number 6. Number 5, I've got the number 1 pick from the Dandenong Stingrays, Lockie Whitfield. Sure, Pilch has got him at like number -1. The man crush he has on Lockie Whitfield is enormous, but
Mate, that doesn't even exist, mate.
yeah, I know. Come on, mate. I do understand that, but 2018
No,
Australian.
I'm talking about the man crush, mate. There is no man crush.
Yeah, maybe it's just SuperCoach. I'll allow that. 2018 Australian squad member. He won the GWS Best and Fairest in 2018 to 2020, which is pretty impressive in a fairly loaded lineup, you'd have to say. Just his position, I'd say it's not the hardest going round. Loves an uncontested pill, but he is a very good player. Number 4, opposite to Whitfield, I think his position is very hard to find. He's a very unique player, and that's Jake Stringer. I've got him at number 4. Won the flag in 2016 with the Dogs. Australian squad, not squad, but he made the Australian team in 2015. 5-time leading goal kicker for his club. Twice at Essendon, 3 times at the Dogs. Very good player, loves to have massive impact in big games, and we're seeing this year basically how important he is to the Essendon team, and when he's on, he's one of the best players to watch in the competition. Number 3, similar to the Camden Mcintosh thing, if he didn't have 3 flags to his name, he definitely wouldn't be this high, but I don't think you can ignore that personally. And it's Nick Vlauston. He's won all 3 flags with Richmond. He's been in their top 5 in the BNF in 2019 and 2020. He made the All-Australian squad last year. Obviously got KO'd in that grand final, so I don't know how much he remembers of it. But huge, important piece in their team. He's been missing all year and definitely could be one of the reasons why they've had a slow start to the year. But I think Nick Vlauston's been a very, very good player for that dominant Richmond team. And then number 1 and number 2, I'll be interested to see who we have. I assume we all have the same pair, but I'll see. Number 2, I've gone Jack Macrae. Just think, I've got Brodie Grundy number 1. Just think ruckmen are harder to find than gun inside midfielders, which is what Jack Macrae is. Probably one of the best accumulators of the footy we've seen in recent years. Everyone basically knows him for his SuperCoach and AFL fantasy. Beast mode, basically. He just finds 30. What is this year? It's like the most games in a row with 30 plus touches or something insane like that. Yeah, 2 All-Australian appearances in 2019, 2020, won the Dogs flag in 2016, All-Australian squad in 2018, and he is just a beast. But yeah, the only reason he's number 2 for me is because there's less ruckman going around than inside midfielders. So Brodie Grundy's my number 1, 2018-19 All-Australian. 2-time Collingwood BNF winner, which is probably less than you'd imagine, but I guess they do have some good players like Pendlebury and Sidebottom and stuff. But yeah, Grundy, number 1 pick for me, absolute gun. And yes, I'm interested to hear your top 10s. Pilch, I want to hear where you have, in particular, the Port boys, because you weren't happy with my positioning of them, but what's your top 10, Pilch?
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying there's one huge difference, and that's Jake Stringer. Quick disclaimer, I pretty much did not watch footy in 2015, so I am probably criminally underrating him, but he has not made my top 10. He's my honourable mention. Probably should be at number 10 ahead of Tommy Clery, but Tom Clery, I feel like he cops a lot of stick in the media. Like when Hawkins kicked 6 on him last year, he got absolutely belted. But for the last 5 years, he's been a mainstay in our backline, which has been one of the best backlines in the comp. Even when we haven't made the 8, we've always been top 3 or 4 for points conceded. and he always gets the number one job as well on the big key forward. So underrated player. Number 9, Lockheed Hunter, just consistent player. Number 8, Viney. 7, Danaher. 6, Membry. I'll leave Rowey to talk about Membry, but I just feel like his position and the way he plays is quite rare in the AFL at the moment, and it's quite an important position. Like, you don't really see many forwards of his physique doing what he does. And as Hamish said, leading goal kicker 3 years in a row. Nick Vlosten at 5. Probably wouldn't be there if not for the premierships, as Hamish said as well. Whitfield 4, Wines 3. Maybe biased. He's had a weird career. He broke out like straight away and became like we'll say B plus to A type inside mid, and then just didn't improve for like 6 years. But last year and this year, he's kind of moved into that elite echelon, and he's been an absolute gun. And he's up there in the Brownlow predictions at the moment for this season, deservedly. And then, same as you, Hammer, 2 McRae, 1 Grundy, for the exact same reason. I think Ruckman, more important position and harder position to play in some respects. So, yeah.
Yeah, interested to hear yours, Rowey.
Alrighty. I'll kick off with a few honourable mentions. Yeah, Camden Mcintosh, unfortunately, didn't make mine. And unfortunately, Tommy Clery's 11th man here. So he's only just missed out, unfortunately. But I do recognise he is an underrated player and he does cop the main man every week. But yeah, I'll kick it off. Number 10, I've got Jack Viney, just a bit of a bull in there for them, has been for a while. I've actually got Tim Membry in at 9. He is a very unique player. He's actually only 188 centimetres. So he's actually smaller than half of the midfielders going around nowadays. And it has worked in his favour a lot of the time, but has also sort of limited him slightly. He's got incredible hands, but given his sort of lack in height, it's sort of limited his ability to sort of go into massive packs and take massive clunks, just purely because he's about 10 centimetres smaller than what would make him an elite tall forward. But yeah, that also ability to not kick huge bags. He sort of gets, between 1 and 3 goals a game. Whereas, if he was kicking a few bags of like 4 and 5, he'd be a bit higher. But unfortunately, he's just sort of stuck to that sort of consistent role for us. He's a really good leader, Tim. But yeah, that sort of uniqueness has worked for him, but also against him. And number 8, it was Joe Danaher. Obviously very hard to sort of position, but I think now we obviously saw in his first few years, he was an incredible goal kicker for the Bombers. He's obviously very high up there in, all Australian calculations and stuff. I don't know if he actually might have made the team. I haven't actually looked back at that. And I think hopefully he's regaining some of that form at Brisbane. And it's very good to see him sort of play alongside the likes of McStay Hipwood to take all the pressure off him. And number 7, I've got Jake Stringer. I think the big game impact of his calibre of player is vital, especially for a team like Essendon. Obviously got that premiership with the Dogs and had a huge few years with them. So I really rate that type of player, sort of DeGoey, Dusty Martin type that can roll through the midfield and is just an absolute machine up forward for them. And number 6, I've got Lockheed Hunter. He gets a lot of cheapies on the outside, no, but he's a gut runner and he's consistently gets 25-30 when playing the right position, and that takes talent. I think he had another sort of 26-27 on the weekend against the D's. So he is a big user of the ball for them when they're on the outside. So, and he has been for a while, so he's just been a very consistent player. And number 5, Lockie Whitfield. Speaking of gut runners, this bloke is obviously one of the blokes you think of. Obviously got a really nice kick on him. Plays that sort of slightly easier role when, you're coming out of halfback and taking the ball forward. But at the same time, as we've talked about, Hammer, you need a good kick to play that role, and he's got that. So he's in at number 5 for me. And number 4, I've got Nick Vlosten. Has obviously been a massive part of that Richmond defence in this little mini dynasty they've formed. And would have been interested to see how they would have gone without him. So he's been very solid for them. And number 3, I've also got Ollie Wines. I know it is a bit easier to come by inside midfielders these days, but it is hard to find the ones that get consistent 25 to 35 touches and are just absolute bulls in there week in, week out. He's obviously one of them. And then at number 2, I've actually gone different. I've gone Grundy 2, McRae 1. Usually I would back the taller bloke, given it's a bit harder to find them, obviously. But I just think the eliteness of Jack McRae in the middle is unbelievable. And if he was at another club, obviously wouldn't be as overshadowed by... He's not overshadowed, but a lot more of the light would be on him than likes of Bont and all them. I think McRae, he's so elite at getting it out of the packs and just pinpoint accuracy, finding targets. I think it's just... I'm a bit jealous of him because he's the exact type of player that St Kilda need, just a bit of composure and that week in, week out ability to get 35 and most of his touches be elite pinpoint kicks and all that. So, believe me, I rate Grundy very highly, and it's definitely not because Grundy screwed over my SuperCoach this week that he's in it too. But I think McRae is just an absolute incredible midfielder, and I think he's hopefully within Brownlow contention this year because he's just about a complete package. So I'm going to have him over Grundy. But yeah, I'm glad we've all agreed on that top 2 because it's clearly the top 2 best players of that draft.
Yeah, I wanted to go Wines at 1, but I wouldn't have been invited back on the podcast. So
yeah. Wines 1, Clery 2.
Yeah, nah. To be fair, this redraft, I definitely looked at achievements a lot more than like current ability and future, I guess, because Wines definitely could be a premiership winner in the next 2 or 3 years, and you'd think he's on track for an Australian appearance in that time frame as well. So I do cop that you guys have him a lot higher than me. All right, time for some SuperCoach. Bit of a weird week. I think, if I'm not mistaken, did all 3 of us captain Grundy?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, so that definitely put a ceiling on our performances, but still think it was varied. I think definitely know I got the smaller score, but I did crack 100 again. I was 1 point looked like I was going below it, which would have been annoying because I didn't want to, go 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But looks like my team's good enough to be past that threshold every week, so I'll take that. But just quickly on my side. Bit of a weird week. Didn't get the rookies too correct, but I don't really know what happened with my team this week. It was all right. I had some big scores like Zorko. Bont went pretty large again, which I did have my vice on, but I decided to send it with Grundy, which, as all of us know, sitting here, that was the incorrect call. Kelly went big again. He's actually a lot more of a pod than I realized. He's only in like 8% of teams, so he's doing me pretty well the last couple of weeks. But yeah, still not the greatest week. Still got too many rookies on my field, and that's basically what is preventing me from going 200 plus. Rowey, how did your SuperCoach week go?
Not ideal. 2-1-7-9 was looking a lot better early on, but I VC'd Gorn, which was stupid. Given I've just got to lock in either McRae or Oliver every week now. It's very frustrating watching as good as he is. Gorn, he was able to fight back. It's very frustrating watching him as your VC when you've got the likes of McRae and Oliver running around getting 35. So, I think Gorn got 120, and it took me right up until seconds before the Pies game, and I thought, let's just roll with Grundy. I thought the lowest he could get is about 85, 90, which would only cost me 30 points, but the highest he could go is about 160, 170, which would gain me 50. So I thought, given that, the only thing we've got to worry about is an injury, and you can't factor in injuries when you're choosing captains. Obviously gets injured when he's on 70, so absolutely kicking myself there. But I've been planning the team for a few weeks now. I brought in Josh Kelly, who was really good for me, 122, but yeah, I've planned out the next few weeks, and hopefully come the last week of the buys after my trades, I'll only have 1 upgrade left in Cody and 6 trades left. So obviously it's going to be praying there's no major injuries to premiums, but the team's coming along nicely. Just got to hope for some bench coverage to be playing and to not have too many injuries, and should be right as rain for the weeks to come. But yeah, just dropped slightly in the ranks to 3-1-7-7. So hopefully we can bounce back up in the weeks to come.
Yeah, Pilch, how'd you? I know you had a bit of a slow start, but I think you ended up doing pretty well.
Yep, so it was looking real grim before Sunday. The only reason I captained Grundy, I also vice Gorn, was the news that Guthrie was out. I figured, and who was it? Blitzarves was also a laid out. So with Duncan, Danger, and Guthrie out, I just thought Pies mids field day. Grundy 35 hit outs to advantage, but obviously he got injured. But on the positive side of things, Cripps finally, I've held him the entire season and he's finally had a good game. Parker, Callum Mills continues to be the best starting pick of all time. And yeah, I scored 2,240, stayed exactly where I was in the ranks at 2,500, and I've got 620k in the bank to spend over the next few weeks. So things are looking pretty good.
Yeah, that's some big spending. All right, time to chat a little bit about our trades this week or the next couple of weeks. Firstly, though, I kind of forgot to mention my trades. I brought in Libba as a bit of a pod M7, M8, and yeah, that backfired. He got tagged by James Harms. It wasn't on fan footy, the live scoring, so at first I just thought he had a stinker, but since then I've heard a lot about this James Harms hard tag that he copped. I was talking to Pilch earlier in the week. I am a little bit worried that other teams start to do it now that they've seen. Well, now that, not necessarily saying that's the only reason the Dogs lost, but like now that a team who's beaten them has done that, I'm scared other teams start to copy that. But hopefully that's not the case because it limited him to 78. I did bring in Shy Bolton though, and he turned up, and he looks like he's a lock for a top six forward. So pretty happy with that one. But yeah, I can't lie. I've had some average injuries in the last 4 or 5 days that have kind of thrown my buy planning out of the window, as everyone has the Grundy injury, but also had Hunter Clark get injured last week, didn't get picked. Still got him, didn't trade him out, but hopefully he's back this week, but solid chance he's not. And yeah, now I'm really not sure what to do because Berry's also out, who I was counting on in with some bench coverage. He got concussed on the weekend, which means he has to miss the upcoming week. So I'm fine for this week, but I'm very, very worried about the next two because with when I was planning it, I had about 17 in each week, I think, and I was just going to trade after this week, bring in some players who had the round 12 bye and were going to play the next fortnight. But now it looks like I might be down to 14 or 15 in those weeks. So there's a chance that I might have to trade for someone on the bye this week and just pray that nothing happens to them in the next 2 weeks and they don't, do an ACL at training or something. But really don't want to do that because, I just knowing the injury like this season for everyone, that will happen. So very scared to do that. But Rowey, what are your thoughts about your trades this week?
So looking at my team, I've got 5 upgrades left. Obviously priority 1 is getting 18 playing over the next 3 weeks. So I'm basically going to do 1 upgrade for each of the first 2 weeks and then 2 to round off the last week. So hopefully, as I said, I'll only have 1 left in Cody. So I'm going to be looking at, I think at the moment, you've got to find keepers that are really good value at the moment just to save trades. So I'm looking at finally upgrading Mr. Consistent Chad Warner to fellow teammate Isaac Heaney, which scares me because we obviously know about Isaac Heaney, but I think it's so vital to save as much money as you can in order to save trades. So it's just something I've got to do. It only costs about, I don't know. It didn't cost much. I've already done it with my teams. Can't actually check how much Warner was before, but it didn't cost too much. And just because you can't have unlimited trades over the next few weeks, I'm going to jump the gun early on Bianco. Just going to go Anthony Scott down to him to free up a bit. So 116k this week. So I've effectively done 1 upgrade, Warner to Heaney. Next week, planning to finally cash in on Flynn. Probably the right time to, given his break-evens in the 70s and Reeves is about to jump up. Obviously, they're both Reeves will be playing in the next few weeks, so that's good cover for Grundy. So it seems very logical, that one. And then I'll also be planning to upgrade Cozzy to Lockie Whitfield. Probably the right time to bring in Lockie, given he'll also be playing every week and his break-even is also in the 70s. So I think just about every man has to get on him because he's obviously going to be a very good shout for a top 6 defender lock. And then the next week after that, around 14, this is obviously pending having 18 playing every week, but hopefully can upgrade James Jordan and Caleb Poulter to a couple of primos. But it's just about finding guys that are good enough at the price that's very cheap. So yeah, hoping that after the buy rounds, I've already got one upgrade left and can do that and finish off the team and just trade for injuries.
Yeah, nah, I'm in a pretty similar thought pattern to you, Pilch, right now. I just think I might have to trade just because I don't trust that, especially my rookies will hold their spot, and I'll be rolling into round 13 and 14 with like 12 players. But first of all, hopefully Anthony Scott's back this week. That would be ideal. But yeah, I'm not that worried about this week. It's more week 13 and 14 that I'm stressed about. Also, my head-to-head opponent has like 5 people on the bye this week. I'm so pissed off. It's like one of the people I can actually beat in our league, and he's stacked for this week, and he's probably going to get 20 points the next 2 weeks, but he'll beat me, so I'm pretty annoyed about that. But anyway, all right, that's enough about SuperCoach. Time for a bit of a week 12 or round 12 preview. And I have to say, I've not done my tips this week, as I usually come on to the podcast with, because this is probably the hardest week of tipping I've ever seen. I'm absolutely stumped in about 4 of the 6 games. So, might be leaning on some advice from you boys. But, Rowey, what is your sure bet of the week?
I've got a couple. The first one, I think the Swans are going to be too good for us. That match isn't being played at Marvel, as the fixture probably still suggests for me. But I think they're just going to be too good. The players like Heaney and Buddy, I think, are just going to go to town on us. I think Heaney will have, well, hopefully for my SuperCoach, has about 3-4 goals and 20 touches. I think Buddy will kick 4 or 5. Our win was not convincing at all against North, but still very, very sloppy and just not very good. So I think that's probably the surest bet this week, alongside maybe the Crows against Collingwood, believe it or not. Obviously, Collingwood have lost Taylor Adams and Brody Grundy, and the Crows are playing in front of their home crowd, which, as we discussed earlier on other previous episodes, Hammer's actually a real factor for them. It's a really tough ask going over to Adelaide and beating them in front of their home crowd. They just turn the pressure right up, and as we saw, Melbourne's lost to them most recently. Geelong's succumbed to it. So I think Adelaide's going to be too strong for them as well, especially considering Collingwood's outs. So I think those are definitely the 2 surest of the week. I'm not including Freo Bulldogs in that one because I have a feeling Freo could do a similar thing there. But I'll let you, Pilch, talk about your sure bets.
All right, so we've just realised that there's only 4 of the 6 games on Sportsbet, but we'll still have a crack at upset of the week. I guess we can kind of work out who's the upsets. Pilch, who is your most likely candidate for upset of the week?
Yeah, I found this quite tough, to be honest, and I've actually gone with what's probably a smoky. I don't know about what you boys have gone with, but I've gone the Dons to upset Richmond, which is huge call, but the game is at Optus, I believe, which is where the Dons have been all week. They just put on a clinic there. Richmond will have to travel up, so I think they can continue the form into this week. And Richmond have been obviously well below par compared to their normal expectations, so hopefully the Dons can get up.
Yeah, and that's advice coming from a professional gambler. So that was some... I completely didn't think about them being there already. I like it. Rowey, do you back that upset, or have you got another one?
Well, I actually do. I originally had the Blues over the Eagles, but now I've realised the Blues are actually favourites. So I've gone the Bombers as well as the upset. I completely agree with you, Pilch. I like I think the Bombers are definitely a team that plays with confidence and thrives off it. I think they're going to be well and truly with that this week, coming off the win against the Eagles. I think as I touched on before, all their players are playing in positions that are suiting to the structure of the team more. So I think they're well and truly within grasp of this game. Might grow a pair and tip them as well, actually, because I don't mind this matchup at all. It'll be very interesting to watch that one. I think, is it a night game, that one?
Yeah, Dream Time.
Assuming so, yeah. Oh, Dream Time, that's beautiful. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a huge match, and I might be backing the Bombers in there. I just reckon it'll be an awesome match. And the midfield of Parrish, well, it's also going to include Parrish in that now because he's obviously hasn't been given that opportunity in a while. But Parrish and Merritt, hopefully Stringer can roll through there. And yeah, I reckon it'll be a very good match. I reckon the Bombs might come away with that one.
I also want to shout out my boy Langford, who's been balling over the past 2 or 3 weeks as well, getting a few more centre bounces.
But how's he your boy? I've never heard you mention him.
Oh, mate, I had him in my team pre-season at F3.
Oh, okay.
But I bitched it, obviously, which was good.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough, mate. I think I just said Dreamtime at the G, but I guess it's Dreamtime at Optus now. But yeah, I don't mind that. Don't know who I'll be tipping yet, but yeah, when I saw Essendon at 280, I thought that was pretty good value. Are there any betting lines that you like, Rowey? There's only 4 up there, so
no.
If you're not keen, no. All right, Pilch.
Not a huge fan of this week, no.
Yeah, no. Pilch, do you like any or no?
Yeah, I didn't. I've put 3 down. I'm not that confident, but I'll reel them off.
Right.
I don't think they'll win, but I think the Pies at plus 14.5 is pretty good, even though they don't have Grundy. The last 2 weeks, they've showed that they've played 2 of the best teams in the comp and come within 10 points and 1 point in both the games. And Adelaide, I know they're tough to beat at home, but they're a shit side. Like we can't forget how shit they are. So I don't think they're going to be blowing out Collingwood. And then the Doggies minus 18.5. I just think they'll be too good for Freo. They'll get that done. And then obviously the Dons, seeing as though we've picked them to upset Richmond, have a 13.5 head start. So I think that's pretty decent.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
A bit stiff on Adelaide, but no, it's true. I don't see them blowing them out. Yeah, very interesting. I'm going to have a little bit of a think about those tips. I don't get why the St Kilda, Sydney and Melbourne, Brisbane games aren't up yet.
Is it because they got moved?
A reason.
Or did they not?
Yeah, but I think that's the only thing I can think of. I think
where's the Melbourne
Kilda ones? That's it in the Northern Territory, I think. So
yeah, it's TIO Stadium.
Yeah, they moved a game away from there last week, so I guess that's maybe why it's off the betting markets. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. But that's just me guessing. All I care about is my SuperCoach. So yeah, I don't care who wins out of Richmond and Essendon as long as Alec Waterman and Shai Bolton kick 10 between them. I'll tell you that. Does Alec Waterman even play? I don't know.
Alec?
Couldn't tell you who he is, but he's in my
he
SuperCoach
sucks.
side. He gives me 50 a week. But yeah.
He kicks
strange.
If you're lucky.
Just quickly, boys. Who are we tipping in the Saints? Firstly, Saints Swans. Are we all on Swans?
Yes.
Leo Swans. And
then
I
think you have to.
And the Swans line.
Yeah, and the Swans line. And the Swans 40 plus, 60 plus for some extra value.
Heaney 3 goals. Yeah.
And then, but more importantly, who are we tipping for D's Lions? I'm going Lions.
I'm going Lions too. Yeah.
Oh,
That'll be such a good game.
Yeah, I think I have to go the Lions, but I'm very doubtful about it. But yeah, I think I will lock in the Lions. Mate, the venue change might affect it. But yeah, I'll go Lions for now.
For some reason, I'm still doubting the D's, even though they're 10-1. I just can't grasp.
Because they are Melbourne, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. It's so mean.
And they lost to Adelaide, who are the worst team in the comp, barring North Melbourne.
Gee, I was going to say, but you are a Port Adelaide fan, I guess, but yeah, it's a bit stiff. But yeah, anyway, cheers to coming on, boys. Very big week of footy, even though there are only 6 games on, 6 pretty good games.
6 very good games.
Yeah, tipping nightmare, and I'm absolutely on a tear in tipping right now, so gonna have to think about those ones over the next 48 hours. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to what I do with SuperCoach. We won't let you know what we do with SuperCoach. I was going to say, but last time I checked, I do not tweet out my trades or something like that. But hopefully, I can enter the top.
I'll tweet mine out if you do it.
All right, I might, but I might not trade. Do I just tweet holding trades this week?
No trades for the On the Ball podcast this week.
Yeah, I think I'm 700.
Still sitting at rank 50,000.
Oh, I wish, mate. I wish I was 60,000.
60.
Yeah, I think I'm just outside 60, the top 60k. I think I'm about 500 out. But now buys, I'm backing myself. By the end of the buy rounds, I'll be in the top 50k. You've heard it here first. Otherwise, I'll do a
Good
skinny
achievement,
dip in my
mate.
pool.
Nah, jokes. Fair play.
all
Fair
right.
play. Given your starting team.
Nah, I'm not happy about it, mate. That's hurt my feelings.
Right,
but yeah,
right.
anyway.
Given your current team.
Yeah, given everything. But yeah, far out. I just that hurts, boys. But it's all true. I can't even lie. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Good to have the trio back again. Hopefully, be back again next week. Hopefully not lockdown, but we will see what happens. Quick shout out to the Blackpool Seasiders. The Tangerines got promotion to the championship the other day. Big W, and apologies about my facial hair growth. It's pretty yuck. So thanks for putting up with that.
That's beast.
And cheers for joining me, boys. Me and Rowey are off to go do a quiz. I'm ready to tear it up and take home the first prize. Enjoy lockdown, boys. Hope everyone listening is doing well, staying safe, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.